Hello and welcome to the 2026 governor's election. But today we have a brand new model that uses a normal bell curve distribution to calculate the percentages that each party has to win each state. These are the states filled in with each party having a more than 95% chance of holding the governorship, or having the governorship. Alaska is safe Democratic if Mary Peltola chooses to run. Pennsylvania is safe Democratic because Josh Shapiro is very popular and was able to win his re-election, or first election, by 14.8 points in 2022, a year that was not the best for Democrats in a state that Joe Biden had only won by less than 3. And Vermont is safe Republican because Phil Scott, the current incumbent Republican governor, consistently ranks as one of the most popular governors in America. All right, let's go through this. Starting out with California, we're going to go west to east here. Democrats have a 63% chance of holding the governorship. That might seem shocking considering that Gavin Newsom won his last election by 18 points. But California does use a jungle primary system, which basically means that if there's a lot of candidates, it's only the top two. And there are a lot more Democratic candidates and just about 2 main Republican candidates. And right now, at least according to Race to the White House's polling average, Katie Porter only leads by 0.7%. And it's going to be a runoff between the top two. There's a very real chance that Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton get the number 2 spots with all the Democrats splitting the vote, and California ends up having to choose between 2 Republican candidates in 2026. This is still an unlikely possibility, but because of it, California is lean Democrat. In Nevada, incumbent Joe Lombardo is pretty popular, but Emerson College's most recent poll has this race at a tie with him between Ford. Now, I do have Ford with a 44% chance of winning this race, but that is still very within the realm of possibility, so Nevada is tilt Republican. In Nevada, incumbent Katie Hobbs has consistently led polling against her 2 possible Republican challengers, Representative Andy Biggs and Taylor Robinson. And she has a 60.2% chance to win according to my model, so Arizona is lean Democrat. In Kansas, current Democratic incumbent Laura Kelly does leave her party very vulnerable to a potential flip from the Republican side since she is ineligible to run for a 3rd term in the state. Laura Kelly won Kansas by 2 points in 2022, but now that she is not running, and I currently give Republicans a 77% chance to flip the seat. You can probably expect that chance to go up as we get further into the year, so right now Kansas is lean Republican. In Texas, current incumbent Republican Governor Greg Abbott is very well positioned to retain his seat, and although he has made controversial decisions on redistricting, and that being overturned could be a very bad look for him, Democrats do not have a strong enough candidate with notable name recognition to flip the seat, as they only have a 12% chance of doing so, so Texas is likely Republican. In Iowa, the Democratic nominee running is current incumbent state auditor Rob Sand, who was able to win the Iowa state auditor election in 2022 by under 0.3%. Current early polling does suggest Sand with a lead, and he currently has a 66% chance of winning the state in a state that Donald Trump won by around 13 points. So this race is lean Democrat. In Minnesota, current incumbent Governor Tim Walz faces multiple possible Republican challengers, but averaging out all of their current polling gives you 83% chance that Tim Walz keeps his seat, which is likely Democrat. In Wisconsin, current incumbent Democratic Governor Tony Evers recently announced he is not running for re-election, but currently early polling does suggest that a generic Democrat would beat Tom Tiffany by around 5 points, and they have an 87% chance to win. That might seem like a lot for Wisconsin, but it is still very early and things are extremely volatile to change, but right now this race is likely Democratic. Right next door in Michigan, current incumbent Governor Gretchen Whitmer cannot run for re-election, and the Democratic side now has Jocelyn Benson against John James. Although there is a really big independent challenger, Detroit Mayor Mike Duggins. He's been polling around 20% of the vote equally from both candidates, and it's kind of been 33, 33, 20. And it's really hard to predict. All candidates have an actual chance at winning this race, including Mike Duggins. Currently, though, Democrats do have a 52% chance to win, although this model does not account for independents. I would assume that chance is lower if you account for Mike Duggan, so this race is tilt Democrat. In Ohio, current incumbent Republican Governor Mike DeWine cannot run for a third term. He won his re-election in 2022 by 25 points, mainly for the fact on how he handled COVID. But Republicans are eyeing to nominate businessman and very close to Donald Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy. And on the Democratic side, we have the former health director during COVID, Amy Acton. As Tim Ryan has recently announced, he is not running in the race. Ramaswamy does have an 80% chance of winning, and YouGov's recent polling only has Amy Acton behind by 47 to 50. So right now, this race is likely Republican. In Georgia, we do not actually have any early polling data other than primary election polling. It looks like the main Democratic nominee will be former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, but the Republican nominee is less decided. But given Republicans' track of winning down the ballot races in Georgia, right now this race is lean Republican. This is very susceptible to change. Do not take this as a solid rating. In Maryland, the only reason this is even a remotely possibility is if former Republican Governor Harry Hogan runs again against Wes Moore. I don't see him winning. I don't see him doing it. But it is enough of a possibility that Democrats only have a 94% chance, only 94% chance, of winning this state, making it likely Democrat. In New Hampshire, current incumbent Republican Governor Kelly Ayotte overperformed in 2024 and does have a 72% chance of retaining her seat against a possible Democratic challenger, making this race likely lean Republican. Finally, wrapping up here in Maine, there are a lot of possible Democrats, a lot of possible Republicans, but a generic Democrat will beat a generic Republican with a 94% chance, making this race likely Democrat. And that wraps up our map here for the new model. Please subscribe if you like this, and always remember to politic.